Go to investorthrive.com right now to check out some of our free training on how you can make money as a real estate investor, or schedule a time with me so we can chat about our mastermind mentorship and how we can help you learn how to wholesale nationwide and grow your business. What's up, everybody? Investor Thrive Nation. I have Will and Shannon here with me, and we met at Sean Terry's mastermind, and they have been doing great things, awesome things, and I wanted to bring them on the show to basically just ask them about their origin story, what got them started. So thank you for coming on, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh, anytime. And I know you got some great messages to share with people. So basically, we're just going to hop right in. And before I guess we get into your origin story, you guys want to give a little short introduction to yourselves, like where you're from, something like that?
Sure. Yeah. I'm Shannon Wolven. I was born in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I currently live in Henderson, Nevada, like 20 minutes away from Las Vegas. And I have 6 kids. We have 6 kids. That's it. That's all I got.
I love
it. I didn't say that I used to be in the service industry for a long time as a waitress, and then a banquet server for a ton of years, like 15 years. And then I moved into running an AC company locally, which is really busy, obviously, in the summer in Vegas. Mm-hmm. And since that's where I quit my job from the AC company to come and do this job.
And that AC is real important in Vegas at this time, right? I always wondered, because I was like, I didn't grow up in very hot places, so I was like, why are people tripping about AC so much? But it's, I guess, in places where it gets so hot, it's like that's a necessity right there.
100%.
Yeah, it's a necessity.
Okay. What about you, Will? You want to give us a little bit of introduction to who you are?
Yeah. So again, my name's Will. I have pretty much always done construction. I decided having kids young was the way to go, so college wasn't my destination. So I got into a trade. I've done pretty much everything other than electrical work. That's not my gig. Mm-hmm. Hats off to the electricians. You shock yourself every day.
Really? It gets that bad, huh?
Well, for them guys it is, so I ended up bouncing around doing some different odds and end construction work for 15, 16 years, and ended up working at the same company that she ended up at doing HVAC. Mm-hmm. So she ran all the office stuff, ended up essentially my boss. I did all the field work, and then she came home and was my boss here too. So
I'm still the boss.
2 bosses, or I guess the boss full time, no matter what, right?
Full-time boss, yeah.
That's awesome. So I guess my question, and maybe a lot of questions that people might have, is, was the AC thing like why did you decide to, I guess, leave that to go to investing in real estate? What was wrong with working in that?
I think go ahead.
Well, it was a long time coming, because I initially found out about even the word wholesaling houses probably about 12 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
And Shannon had some sort of surgery. I can't even remember what it was, and I was sitting up in the middle of the night taking care of her, and an infomercial popped up for some guy who was selling.
Sean Terry.
It wasn't Sean Terry. I can't even remember his name. I actually think it was Sean. I think it was Sean Higgins. I don't know if you heard of him or not, but he was doing tax lien stuff, and then he mixed wholesaling into it. But so like a lot of people, I ordered his stuff off of his infomercial, walked through his little 3 DVDs, and I was like, this is it, but did nothing with it, Okay. So but always had told Shannon, for one reason or another, I knew really nothing about real estate. I had never owned a home successfully at that point. I had gone through 2008 and lost my house during that, so I hadn't owned a successful home and all that other stuff. And but I was like, real estate is going to be our way out. I don't know why or how, but 12 years ago I was like, real estate's going to be our way out. And
so it was always on your mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't really ever buy in. I think I read the book and I just did the things, but I don't think I was like as on board, which is probably why we didn't really do much with it. You know, we went to a couple conferences, but that was it.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I took a lot out of that, but one thing that's funny is I always wondered myself, like, who calls from those infomercials on TV? And
this guy.
I'm there with you, because one day I was sitting in college and I saw Gotham Steel, and the guy was cooking an egg and it wasn't sticking, and I was like, that is amazing. Mine always sticks. So I'm right there with you. You got the course, I got the Gotham Steel pan.
Right. How did the pan work out for you?
It honestly, the first time it stuck. I don't know if I had the pan too hot, but the egg stuck, and I said, "This is garbage. I need my money."
Yeah.
It worked out about as good as
It didn't work out.
the wholesaling course.
Yeah, it seems like yours, whatever you bought. I mean, for both of us, we struck out in the first time, so
Yeah.
Right.
it happens. But so what happened to you guys where, you know, it was always on your mind? What triggered you to take action again? And was it the Sean Terry first check challenge? Is that like what you decided to do again? What was the journey?
Oh, so, you know, originally it was one of those things that I think had just popped up in some sort of algorithm, and they were like, wholesaling houses popped up, and I was like, oh, okay, let me watch this video. And it just opened the rabbit hole. And so it was Sean Terry, the wholesaling people, Brent Daniels, I mean, Max Maxwell. I had gone through. I did the YouTube University thing, and I was coming home from work. I'm sitting in an attic with other guys. It's 140 degrees up there, and I've got my phone sitting on the air conditioner, and I'm watching YouTube videos as I'm supposed to be working. And the other guys are like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm getting out of this attic is what I'm doing." So I would come home to her and be like, "I'm telling you, we're gonna wholesale houses. Like, look, Max says this. Look, Sean says this." And she's like, "Okay, like, sure, just make sure you're at work tomorrow to watch."
Supportive, but she's like, keep doing your thing. I'm also, I get that.
But I mean, let me add that we're both working a job. Yes, a really hot, miserable attic job, but we work for a great company, a family-owned business. We had the time to have our family, our kids around. I mean, we had a really great gig with this company that we work for. So I wasn't really looking to leave the security of having a paycheck come in all the time, even though I would really like to have made more money, right? I felt like I deserved more money, but I also knew that together we had the ability to run something really great at a high level, and whether that was the AC company or something else. So I had the faith that it could be a thing. I just couldn't figure out how to understand it and wrap my head around it myself.
Okay. So how did it happen where you took it from, I'm going to start doing this, to you guys started taking action?
So I was at work, and I actually got sideswiped on the freeway by a bus and ended up needing a spinal fusion. So the ticker on my physical activity, especially, I'm a big guy, and most addicts aren't like really big here. It's not like East Coast where you walk around and they're really tight. And so, so putting me inside an attic and then just living a life, I've got 5 boys and a girl. So, and even our daughter is insanely active. So it's a big thing for me to be able to run around, and do things with them. So the ticker on how much time I had left seemed like it had started as far as physical activity and still being able to function like that.
Okay.
So we needed to do something now in order to prolong that, and there was nothing else, because we circle back, it had always been real estate for me, and it's specifically real estate investing, wholesaling, flipping.
And at that time, did I start getting my real estate license or trying? Not yet. Okay, go.
But
got it.
Other than that, it was the 140, 150 degree attics was a big push.
That was some added motivation for you.
So I don't know how it happened, but we had a meeting with the Wholesale Inc. guys.
Yeah. So, we going through YouTube University, we got on and we actually met with the Wholesale Inc. guys first. And then we were like, well, we should probably check out some other people. So we got on with some of Sean's people. And we just had an amazing amazing feeling with Sean.
Yeah, like we're really drawn to the way that he does things and just him
Yeah.
personally.
So we signed up for the first check challenge and went from there. That was the beginning.
That's awesome. So you're probably expressing like a journey that a lot of people have taken that have started in here. They see maybe some advertisements, they see that wholesaling is good, and then they go into YouTube, and then maybe they start getting a ton more advertisement, and then they start maybe interviewing a couple different places to see how to really get started. So did you take action or try to get deals or leads or start calling people until you got into Sean's program, or did you not do anything really until then?
Oh, we did. We had that lady that we were working with.
We did, but I mean, it was really
You went to the
like
RIA.
Yeah, we were like throwing spaghetti at the wall, and
Right.
you know, so it was like with the YouTube, everybody's like, you got to go to your local RIA meeting. So I started going there, and then it was like driving for dollars and stuff like that. And you know, we ended up going on some walkthroughs, which is now totally different, and I wish we could do more of because the Vegas market's so crazy. So we focus primarily outside of Vegas right now.
Right.
But the belly to belly thing is so fun.
Oh, it's fun, and
So fun.
it is fun, and not only that, I think it can be more effective if you can get more leads in your own market. I think you can close way more people if you're face to face. That's just how it always is going to be.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, with how expensive leads are, you know, that's why, you know, a lot of people try to go with the nationwide model so they can get more leads for cheaper. I mean, it's give and take. I honestly, like, I've teetered between let's just stay in our local market and let's go nationwide. I have a love and hate relationship with trying to figure out which one's the best option.
Do you have a good percentage on what you do locally versus what you do nationwide?
Honestly, like, we're starting to do more locally just because we're starting to flip more. So, you know, it's easier to flip locally. Not I wouldn't say easier. It's just you just feel more confident because you're just like, hey, I can just drive down and look at our flip, or if I need anything. You can flip virtually too, but yeah. So more business, I would say like 60% is local now.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we didn't take massive action. We took a tiny bit of action. And then we'd fall a little bit off the wagon and, you know, get stuck in our lives with our kids. And like you said, all of our kids are really active. So we're always going all the time, like spend a lot of time in the car. So we were doing a ton. And then we started the first check challenge. We still did minimal effort, I feel, through the first check challenge. And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And my boss didn't want me to, he wanted me to come back to the office just a couple weeks after kind of, you know, things had kind of calmed down after quarantining for a while. And after being home with the kids, it was like, they're going to need me here. So at that point, we kind of decided we need to make a decision and decide of how much and what kind of action we were going to take from there, you know?
Yeah. And I want to point something out for the viewers, maybe the people that are new, is I think that's how most people are, is they get in and they might not feel like, doing that much work, like a ton of massive action in the beginning, because they probably are like, it's already like getting out of your comfort zone, calling people and doing the beginning stuff. So is that kind of how you felt in the beginning? You're like, I should be getting result just for doing maybe a little bit. Did you kind of feel like that?
Absolutely.
I think it definitely feels a lot like, I mean, you hear about how much people say that it takes on the phone, but when you really get on the phone, you're like, oh, I've gotten screamed at a dozen times today. It's my turn. It's my time. It's my time to get my first deal. But realistically, it's not just a dozen times, you know, and
it feels like a ton.
Yeah, it's not just tiny action. It's massive, insane action.
And that's what happens. I think most people get into this and are like, hey, I made 20 calls. Where's my first deal? And you're like, well, I wish it was like that, right? Because, you know, if I only took 20 calls, make $15,000, that would be the greatest thing. And I think sometimes people get lucky and they're like, I knocked my first door and I got my first deal, my first pre-foreclosure. And and that's honestly a double-edged sword, because yes, you did a great job. You got your first deal, but now you think it's that easy, you know? So, so let's talk about getting your first deal in the first check challenge. So you joined that. What you were throwing spaghetti at the wall, you're at the RIAs and they're saying drive for dollars. So what different information did you get that you applied that you felt like was you know, super helpful and helped you ultimately get your first deal?
So we didn't actually get our first deal in the first check challenge. It was well after that, but the first check challenge helped put us on a path of like, do this, and this, you know, every day, do these things, and learning where to find our leads, and you know, just what things needed to happen in order to really make progress versus just trying to like learn so much and not really do anything, you know.
That
Yeah,
makes
kind of. I think even though that there's a blueprint laid out there, is when you just stick with just trying to learn on YouTube. And I know there's people out there that have gotten on YouTube, looked at everybody, and set off on their own and have been massively successful.
Mhm.
And like, you guys are rock stars out there that can do that. You know, that was not me. I needed the structure. So what the first check challenge kind of laid out for us was that structure.
Mhm.
It showed you why reinvent the wheel.
Right.
You know,
Right.
when people are coming to you for help, you know, within your mastermind and stuff, they're hoping that you're able to provide them that roadmap, you know, to get towards where you are. And
Yeah.
the people that are willing, that can see the fact that the roadmap is there for your benefit, those are the people that really win. And that's, I think, what we got out of that.
Yeah. And I like what Sean says. He says, like, I'm giving you a recipe, like to a cake, right? And you can bake my delicious cake with the recipe I've given you, or you can throw whatever you think is important in there, and you can see if that makes you the same result. So,
Yeah, exactly.
so you said you got the deal after the first check challenge. What do you know where it came from? Do you remember or how you got it? Like, what lead source?
So how long was it after the first check challenge?
So
It was before.
during the first check challenge, we had good success with feeling what it felt like to work the business. We were getting leads coming in.
Mhm.
We were pulling lists, cold calling, all through that, but we just never seemed to really, you know, make it to the finish line.
Right.
We got through that, didn't get our first check, and then we stuck with the cold calling.
Mhm.
And it was we had 4 contracts fall out, I would say within 7 days of closing before we got our first check.
Oh, wow.
Like our first actual check.
And when they fell out, is that because the buyers didn't come through? You didn't have the right price, so you had to cancel it? Like, why did those fall out?
So the 2 of them, the sellers at the end, or well, one, the seller just up and decided to keep the house.
Did they actually keep it?
She did actually keep it.
She did keep it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Because usually that's them trying to like get out of it, right? And what I say is, you can keep it, but I'm gonna cloud your title, and when you sell it, I'll be ready.
Yeah, she
Right.
actually kept it and then popped up on somebody else's PPC that we know later.
Oh, really? Well, if you have that contract, I'd call her back and be like, "Hey, we're still ready."
So that one, and then the seller did what you said.
Mhm.
Like, we realistically know that after everything shook out, they were like, oh, we're gonna keep it and stay in it, and then lo and behold, a month later it sold.
And honestly, that's unfortunate, because you with the knowledge you have now, if someone comes to you with that excuse, you know, now you can say, great, that's okay, you can keep it, stay in if you'd like, but when you are ready to sell, we will be ready, because we've
Right.
put a notice of interest on your title.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Happened to me too. I lost out on a deal. Guys, like, I talked to my wife, we don't want to sell. Then I saw that the house is flipped like a month later, and whoever did probably made a killing.
Yeah.
And then there was the one that sold to someone else like the day before we were closing. That was fun.
Yeah, and again, we, being new, didn't know to cloud the title, so we're right there, you know, going into closing.
I mean, that's 4 deals. That's like 4 deals right there with a little experience, you know?
Yeah.
Right. And then
One
the last one, well, no, the last one, the buyer, where you and Sean, you guys talk about being in control of your deal.
Mhm.
and acting like you have $100 million in the bank. We were not acting like that. We were desperate.
Yeah.
And so we get a buyer that calls up. He doesn't like our contract. He wants to use his contract. Everything ended up going his way. And then right at the end right before he just pulls out of the deal, and the seller's not looking to extend at that point because we were supposed to close.
That's unfortunate, you know. And usually when you let them command the situation, they do stuff like that, you know, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
So,
and then,
okay, go ahead. Yeah, what else happened?
So our first deal ended up being down in Texas. It was a cold call lead, and it was a battle back and forth. We didn't think we were going to do it. We had a VA buyer. We were being told by Sean and everybody, you can't use VA buyers. It's cash only. And
I
so
was not letting this one go.
We weren't letting it go. We were like, we're going to help this guy out. Like we were ready to help this guy and make no money. And I think that was the key. That was the key. And so we found this lady. She was in the military, heading back from overseas with her daughter, wanted to purchase the house. So this was before anybody had come up with any RBP program or anything like that. So we had talked with title, just worked the problem, and got everybody on board. We talked to the seller, told the seller this is how it's going to work. Talked to the buyer, told the buyer this was how it was going to work. Got title to come up with paperwork that everybody agreed on legally, and then
we were ready to go, and then she disappeared.
She disappears.
Oh, you talking about the lady that was going to move into it, the buyer?
The buyer disappears.
Oh man, gosh, guys, you're throwing me through a loop here.
But what happened was during that time of working this whole process out, we had already had it posted on Facebook and some other, marketing channels. And we had another buyer who really wanted the property, but because we were trying to help out this vet, we were like, look, we have a buyer. I'll let you know if it's not going to work out. I'll call you if you're still interested or whatever. So he was fine with that. So it was a couple months, I feel like.
It was 3 months.
And I called him after this buyer ghosted for days. I called the seller first, and I'm like, we cannot get a hold of her. And none of us have heard from her. What do you want to do? I have someone else. Do you want to go back to what we were originally doing? And so he was like, yeah, I just want to sell it. So I called that buyer, and I was like, the property's available. And he was like, okay, I want it. And it was pretty easy from there, I think.
It was like less than a week later.
That ended up being a cash buyer, you're saying?
Yeah, it ended up being a cash buyer.
Man, sounds like you, before the RBB program or Novation started, you were the head. You were starting that.
Yeah, I thought I made that up myself.
You're like, Corey, what are you doing? I did.
That's exactly what happened.
So that's the power of the masterminds. Truly, is that we were at one of the Syndicate 9 meetings, and we basically begged Sean to let us go sit with the big boys for just a little while. And it wasn't 3 minutes into the first presentation, Corey Boatwright was laying out the RBP program, and we were
I was there. Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, this is exactly what we needed. Like, it was like, okay, we can do this,
That morning, actually, is when we got the go-ahead from title.
Yeah.
That we could do that program.
That's
so.
Yeah, and so we closed our first deal after all that with a cash buyer instead of everything else for $21,000. So.
Where was it in Texas, by the way?
Killeen, Texas.
Oh, that's pretty populated, right? Killeen, Texas.
Yeah.
Isn't that out of Houston or what?
It's near Austin.
Austin, okay.
Yeah, right by Fort Hood.
The power of networking. Look, we got someone coming on here. I don't know if you can see the screen, guys. They say, Will and Shannon, I have some properties you may be interested in Texas. I'm in Texas.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'd love it.
We'll have to connect you to this user. It'll be this user, whoever. You can't tell where they're coming from because we're on StreamYard, but wherever they're coming from, hey, network. Anybody in watching this or that will watch this, hit up Will and Shannon. They will help you find some buyers. They'll JV with you. They'll get it done, right, guys?
That's good. Let's make some money.
For sure.
So that is an awesome story, and I'm glad it worked out for you. So were you part-time with the AC at that time? Were you full-time, I mean? Were you still doing it?
I was full-time with the AC company until about 45 days before our first deal. So I still hadn't even gotten our first deal. when I quit the AC company.
Oh, so this one you guys were like, we want
this was it. Yeah. So, and that's where we go back to the massive action. It was a lot of, I went to the first time, or what was it? What was the Extreme Freedom with Sean. And I asked him, you guys are a proof of concept. Everybody talks about making sure you have a proof of concept before you quit your job, have some money put away, all that other stuff.
Right.
As I listened to these podcasts and I watched these YouTube videos, the people that were the most successful were the people that took massive action, the people that went all in, the people that got fired from their jobs, that had some hardship come up in life, that they were like, well, it's either this or nothing. I lose everything, or this works out for us. And so we were dabbling and it wasn't working. It wasn't working. She was trying to be a mom. It was during COVID. She was now a teacher. She was a mom. She's trying to be a wife as well as herself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was coming home after sitting in an attic for 14 hours saying, well, hey, what'd you do? And she's like, well, I got the kids here. I did this. No. What did you do for the business? If I was your boss. And then there's tears. I didn't do anything. I couldn't get anything done, And so it was like, well, how are we ever going to get this if you can't work? And she's like, well, you're at work all day and this is my job. And so it was like, at some point, the massive action needed to be taken. And so we were like, well, we're going to go all in. And I quit my job, and it was about 45 days later before we closed that first one.
Dang, and that must have been one of the greatest feelings to get that check, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Definitely.
Because our kids thought that we were insane. We've always been essentially the corporate type people, like we go out on Saturdays when they call and say, hey, we need somebody to come work, we work late, all those things. So for us to just up and pack up and do something for ourselves and then have it be successful, especially when they've seen those 4 checks, because we celebrated as a family when we got the contract signed. Then we found a buyer and we were stoked together again. And then it fell out, and
that's
so
some major accountability right there. Not only accountable to yourselves, but to your kids.
Right.
Yeah.
So they watched us do that 4 times. They saw the struggles and stuff. So when we were finally able to show them that check, which funny enough, we wanted the hard check from the title company for the first.
You're like, mail me that thing.
Yeah. So we waited for them to mail it to us, and they sent it in the wrong name.
Oh, good.
So they ended up sending the check in the wrong name after all said and done. So then we had to call them back, wait again for a check that we could actually cash.
Yes.
The big benefit in that, the blessing is I actually have the check now. So I get my first hard check.
I love it. So at that time when you got that deal, was it just you two, or did you have some VAs? Did you have a cold calling service? What was it?
So we did have a cold caller that we were working with at that time. So that deal came from the cold caller.
Okay, so virtual assistant was the Philippines? Was it?
Philippines, yeah.
Okay. There you go. So when you're new, for the people that are new, I mean, even one cold caller and then you calling those leads that come in and negotiating, that'll get it done,
Yeah, and that's kind of what was happening. We were in the position prior to him quitting where we were like, okay, we got to do something else. This isn't working. We spent some money, a handful of money on PPC, and we weren't getting anywhere. Yeah. So we were struggling with that. And a friend of mine said, hey, you need to hire a cold caller because that's what's going to take the time from you to get your other stuff done. Hire the cold caller. You call the ones that say yes.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, PPC can wreck you especially if you don't. I mean, if you don't know, I don't even say especially if you're nationwide. Period. PPC will wreck you. Period. If you don't know what you're doing, whether it's in your own backyard. When we were in Utah, just specifically doing deals in Utah, each click would be like $400, and our budget would be done in like a second. So you definitely got to be careful.
About 20,000.
Say that again.
20,000 burned on PPC before our first check.
Hey, don't even worry because I think we spent so much money. I think we spent like 40K, 30K trying to figure it out too, before we were like, okay, I think that's why we reached out to Sean for his PPC, like the syndicate. Cause we were like, we're trying to figure this out. And, yeah. So anyway, PPC can be difficult unless you hire someone, like an expert. Ethan Leach, he's good. That we're both using them.
Yep.
Shout out to Ethan. If you want Ethan's info, you can message me and I can give it to you. But yeah, so that's awesome, guys. And you haven't looked back since, huh? Since that happened?
No, never once. I mean, we definitely have had it's not just your first deal and then, it's only up from there. It's a roller coaster. You have those bottom times too, where even though you got your first deal, your second deal, it might be, a couple months, or especially as you start to scale and bring new people on.
Yeah. Let me kind of tell you guys, I don't know if you've hit this part in your business, but in my business, how long have you been doing it? For a year, 2 years, 3 years? How long?
About 18 months now.
18 months. So what really helped my business, this is just advice. You didn't even ask for it, but I'm giving you advice. Is when me and Corey got into wholesaling, we did like 96, some $1,000 within our first like 4-6 months. But because it was a partnership, we had to pay our VAs and pay for additional marketing to go out. That money was gone very quick, and this is how it's been the first couple of years. It was like we'd make money, we'd feel great, and then it'd go back down, and it'd be like that. So until we started getting business credit, I don't know if you have that, but basically it's like interest-free credit cards or business credit, line of credit that you can put that marketing expense on, because unfortunately, if you spend $10K, you might not see a return on that money for 30, 60 days. I mean, it just depends. Maybe there's title issues. So for you just to shell out all that money out of your bank account, it can be detrimental, or it can shut you down. So once we started getting business credit where we could put, $10,000, $20,000, make the minimum payments and not have interest on those payments for 18 months, 24 months, then it was like, okay, we can get this thing rolling. Since we're not always having to shell out money out of the bank account, we're using interest-free credit cards, and that helped us get ahead. So I don't know if you've done that or gotten business credit yet, but that pushed us ahead. And if you talk to a lot of other gurus or whatever mentors out there, they say that most of their marketing expenses are put on business credit, so they can so it doesn't destroy your bank account.
Do you have any good recommendations on places to start looking at that stuff?
I got a great recommendation. So Prime Corporate Services is like I've negotiated and worked with them on a specific like way. I didn't do this to pitch them, right? But no, I've networked with them, and exclusively because I work with them. They give you, I think, $2,000 off their business credit program if you just say that I referred you, and I can send you the link. But the cool thing about them is they don't only just do business credit, like help you with your business credit, but they can also give you advice on your taxes and how to file, so you don't pay all that money you made to the government because you just don't know how to structure your taxes in your entity. So I'll set you up with their link, and you can do a call. They do like a $2,000 free like consultation call with anyone that books a call through me, just to help you guys out. So you don't even have to sign up. You can just talk to them and see. But that's what got us over the hump, is not having to pull from our bank account every deal, because I don't know if you've experienced it, but that really affected us in the beginning.
Yeah, definitely.
I think some of that, we're going through some of that now at this point, throughout this new market change and as shift.
Yeah, and if you, honestly, you spend $10,000 on a marketing program, marketing that you send out, and your minimum payments on that are what, like $150, $200 a month. You can handle that for 2 months until that deal closes. Then you pay it all off, and you're flying. So that's my advice for anybody that's on here, because I don't think people talk about that a lot. But most of the people, I think, they either had a lot of money to get going in this business. Me and Corey, we started with $0. Like, we didn't come into this business with any money. We just knocked doors, and we cold called, and then so you need some money to really scale the business up, get right employees, VAs, all that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. So let's kind of wrap up. I think you dropped a lot of good nugs, but I think what is one thing you would like to give to Investor Thrive Nation to let people know how to be successful like you guys at wholesaling?
My thing is, go all in and never quit. you've got to take massive action, and you have to work. It doesn't work if you don't work.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you've got to, I have this note on my desk, and I kind of just am looking at it here. It says, what can I accomplish in the rain? And I think it's a big deal, because if you're, working hard and you think you're working hard and nothing's happening and you're feeling down, those are the times, if you push through and you work harder, that those things come, to fruition. So
massive action, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm the biggest proponent of massive action, and I would even, what I say is, other people said, massive imperfect action, because it's never going to be perfect. And if you're going out there and you're like willing to fail, that's what you need to do, because you wouldn't have known by getting snaked on those 4 deals or 3 deals what was happening or how to combat it. Now you do. Now you know what, like, okay, this sounds kind of fishy. This has happened before,
Yep.
Yeah.
You want to stay in a house that you were just telling me that you hated living in. That doesn't sound right, So
Yeah. Massive action, and fix your mindset the best that you can,
Yeah, mindset is huge.
Like, tell your mind to stop saying those negative things to yourself. Talk to yourself a lot.
I love it. So I wanted to show you guys while you're on here and share with Investor Thrive Nation. So as you know, I've been growing this coaching business, and I created a website that gives away like free resources and tools for people that are beginners and experienced investors. And I wanted to show you guys, because you asked where can I go to get that. So I wanted to show you. The website just launched like a couple days ago, so we're still working on it, but it's really cool, and I think you guys will like it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's see. Let me share my screen right here. So the website, can you guys see the screen?
Yep.
So it's called just Investor Thrive. Pretty basic. But what I do is I give a free course away just for people that want to just learn how to wholesale. It's like a very beginner course. But this is what I think would be useful to you guys and to investors out there. Is on the side I have a tab that's called free resources. And what I've done is I've basically put all the top softwares and services that I recommend and that we actually use in our company, and people can go and just go directly to the link, and they get like special promotions. Because when I first started the business, I was like, I don't know who to use for cold calling. I don't know who to use for skip tracing. Like, I had those questions and I didn't know who to go ask. So this like site under the free resources tab, it breaks down, just like I told you guys, the business credit, like it's right at the top, the LLC, like Pool Prime Corporate Services. You can go there and it takes you directly to their information. And if like, as you scale your business, you're probably like, how do I do team communication? Like I explain, use Slack or use Discord to grow your business. And what list should I pull? Where you got batch leads, you got PropStream. So anyway, I created a resources page in Investor Thrive where people could go and just get knowledge on like what's the best services to use in the industry.
That's super cool, Nathan. I love it.
Yeah. So anyway,
congratulations.
Yeah, no, it's because
awesome.
I appreciate you guys, and I'm excited about it because, as you can tell, I needed it when I first got started. I was like, what do I do? What do I use? And it's like, there you go. So investorthrive.com, go check it out. Free resources for everybody.
Hey, nice. I love it.
Cool. Well, guys, I really appreciate your time, you coming on here. I think it's been awesome to kind of learn about your journey. And yeah, is there anything else you guys want to let the world know, like how to reach you, if they want to network with you, anything like that?
Yeah, I'm just Shannon Wolven on Facebook. Nice and easy, Shannon Wolven.
Yep, same thing for me, just Will Wolven.
I
We're
don't
working
use Instagram
on,
very much, but I probably should.
Yeah, we probably should get a little more social on those things. We have our company is K Home Solutions. We have a Facebook page. It's being worked on at the moment, so it's not very glamorous, but it's there. And
message us there. We'll respond.
Yeah.
Cool. And it sounds like, you're open to network with as many people as possible. So if they're in the Vegas area and someone's new, I'm sure you'd be willing to help them out, give them some advice.
Yeah. Would love to.
What I've learned is the more you give out, the more you get, and you guys, it's awesome to be a part of your journey and to chat with you. And you guys know you can reach out to me if you need anything. All right.
For sure. They don't need to be in the Vegas area either. We work nationwide. So
yeah, let us know.
No matter where they're at.
And it seems like Texas. I mean, you guys got that unlocked. So if you got deals in Texas, you're the ones to call, right? Cool.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the Investor Thrive podcast, and I guess we'll see you around. All right, guys.
All right,
Thank you,
Nathan.
everything, Nate.
Yeah. Anytime.